welcome to another edition of the Fantasy Sports News and World Report. I'm your host, Brian Lyles. And yes, as you can tell, I'm in my Oriole gear, and it is the baseball preview show. And hey, I cannot do this alone. With me today is a couple of gentlemen, one who's a great, dear friend of mine, because he's also an Oriole fan, Ryan Felming, and part of the evil empire, and host of his own show, the Fantastic Forum. Again, with the Popeye thing. Ulysses E. Campbell.
Thanks for having me,
Brian. And I gotta love the man. Anyway, it's been talked about to death for months now. Since the beginning of November, the Mitchell Report was basically published and read and analyzed and over-analyzed by so many people. I really want to take it to a point level of how do you feel as fantasy owners of what does this Mitchell Report do to make people think about choosing players, because granted there on the list there was a lot of former players, but then again there was a lot of current players. Most notably for us local folks, there was Brian Roberts and Jay Gibbons who were outed, as well as Miguel Tejada, who still to this day says that he didn't take it. And to my knowledge and surprise, during mid-February he was traded to the Astros, not knowing if it was part of any relation to it, but we're not sure. But I want to know from you guys, first Ryan, since you're the newbie, what do you feel, how do you take this Mitchell Report? If you were a fantasy owner thinking of picking some players who are probably on this list, how do you feel them being on this list?
First of all, I love the report. I love it. I think it's really helped baseball to the point I couldn't watch it anymore. Like I can't stand the cheaters, and basically what it did is it told us what they are. They're cheaters. So I wouldn't pick any of them, regardless. Even if they still have good years, I wouldn't pick them. But now you don't know what they're going to do, because now that they're off, if they have stopped because they still don't have testing for HGH, you don't know how they're going to play. Once they're off that, we don't know how much of an advantage it gives. Now, Jose Canseco said if he didn't use it, he wouldn't even be in the major leagues. So if it gives that type of advantage, any of those guys, I don't think you want to touch them. As far as, I mean, especially if it gave that much of an advantage, I don't think you want to even use them.
Well, let's say this. Do you think that, with this in mind, because you mentioned Jose Canseco, if he was basically pretty much I would say, the face of steroids, do you feel that, what's your opinion about him doing, basically outing, breaking basically one of the golden rules of baseball is like, look, what happens in this clubhouse stays in the clubhouse.
He saved baseball. He saved if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't know. We wouldn't be talking. We wouldn't be talking about steroids in baseball. They was talked about, but they didn't have testing. They wouldn't have the testing that they have now, and they wouldn't be doing the Mitchell Report would have never existed. The Congress stuff would have never happened if he didn't out these guys. That's the breaks.
Okay. Well, Ulysses, how do you feel about the Mitchell Report?
Well, I can tell you first, to answer the question, the Mitchell Report isn't going to have any bearing on who I pick for my fantasy team. And the real question to me comes down to, do you care whether or not these guys use performance-enhancing substances? Now I'm sort of looking at things, and historically, I mean, today we have players who know how to train better, the nutrition is better. I mean, in one sense, you can say that, the fact that we have got better players today, I mean, their performance is enhanced over guys who played in the early year. I mean, you should be able to take, a team of non-cheaters today and have them play some 1912 team, and they should wipe the place up with them. I mean, just because the players are bigger, prenatal care is better, the nutrition's better, the training regimen is better. But, see, the thing is, I'm of the opinion that baseball doesn't, I mean, the Mitchell Report is kind of a black eye, but they don't really want to know. I mean, you think about it, steroids actually saved the game of baseball. After that strike in '94, the fans had left. They were trying to get something to get the fans back, and all of a sudden, woo, home run race here between Sammy Sosa and, our friend with the Cardinals. And, I mean, so I've got to believe that, in fact, I had heard somewhere that the commissioner himself was telling these guys how to get around the testing. I mean, because you want to save the sport. So it's a double-edged
I
sword.
don't think it went that deep.
Okay.
The commissioner telling them, I don't know about that. I know they turned the other cheek, of course, but I don't think it went that deep. That's a big conspiracy.
If I had the proof,
Yeah.
we'd be sitting here with Larry King.
Well, let me ask you this thing. Granted, the Mitchell report for the media, they wanted the perfect outing. They wanted to claim, okay, Barry Bonds took steroids. Granted, his name was in the report, but really, it didn't make him be a forefront of saying, hey, yeah, I took it, I apologize, like the normal spiel like Jason Giambi did and everybody else. But what it also did was expose two of your former guys who helped win a couple of championships, Andy Pettitte and Roger Clemens. Now, I want to look at in these two aspects. Granted, they're both still healthy. One's kind of wanting to play, and that's Barry Bonds. Starting with you, Ulysses, first off, what's your opinion on the outing of Clemens and Pettitte?
Well, Andy Pettitte, I think, was more of a gentleman about it than Roger Clemens was. I got to tell you, I feel like Roger Clemens has been very disingenuous about whatever he has done. I mean, all right, if you use the stuff, come out and say you. I mean, it's like torture. Right? You want to torture people? Just say we're torturing them. Don't. Oh, new and unique means of gathering information. It's just like, I mean, I don't want to have you. Oh, well, my wife took the stuff once. It's like, wait a minute. That just didn't pass the smell test. I mean, Pettitte came out. He was like, I used it on these occasions. I was trying to rehab. It was wrong. I'm sorry. But the people who won't get off the snide and admit what they're doing. I mean, it's just like our friend Miguel Tejada. Hey, if it came out and he's still saying, oh, I didn't, but hey, if Jose Canseco, who ought to know, he's pointing the finger at you. It's the same thing with the Rockets, sadly.
Okay. Brian, let me go to the aspect. Like I said before, Barry Bonds, he's healthy, he wants to play. Would you put him on your fantasy, let alone, let's say, on reality or fantasy, would you put him on?
No. I wouldn't put him on just for the simple fact. Well, I mean, that's just. I guess if I'm. I mean, I'm just. I just don't like the whole steroid thing. I don't like cheaters, and I feel like he really just tainted the game, especially with that record that he has. But no, I mean, first of all, he can't play the field. So if you're in the National League, you can't put him on the team. He can't field anymore. But no, I wouldn't take him at all.
How about you, Ulysses?
He's sort of past his prime. I'm going to have to see what happens with him. I think he's going to wind up still in the league somewhere. I mean, probably with an AL team, because I just don't see. I mean, I agree with you, Ryan. I mean, he's not playing the field.
No.
He can't really do anything but DH. But he could be in a position to help somebody down the road. I mean, he's still, going to bash some.
The only team that I see taking him is the Yankees. That's it. Unless a team is in a pennant race where they have to have a hitter. No National League team is taking him. That we already know that. But
even though the Cardinals are interested, basically Tony La Russa is calling.
No, Tony La Russa. Yeah, he didn't know McGuire took steroids, right? No, I just don't see anybody picking him up. Not for his price tag either. We didn't even talk about his price tag. He's going to want a lot of money. Him and Clemens, same thing. Clemens is not going to play.
Clemens needs to look at what he's going to be able to get now that his name has been attached to this stuff. I mean, basically same thing with Barry Bonds. I don't know about Clemens. I definitely think we'll see Barry Bonds though before the season's over.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this then: do you feel, because in the Olympics, when lately we've seen Marion Jones, she's basically completely disgraced, going from claiming like everyone trying to say I didn't take it, then fully admitting, but basically going to federal court. Basically, it's now a perjury charge, and now she's going to be in jail for a couple of years. But the main thing is, what I'm trying to say is, with her, when she fully was exposed that she took it, her medals were taken away.
Yeah.
Do you feel now this is all about backtracking? They were trying to expose something that happened in the late 90s to up to now. And do you feel like certain individuals who've gotten certain accomplishments, like Bonds, like Clemens, do you feel that certain rewards should be taken away and given to the second place person?
Yes. Yes, without a doubt, yes. It's tainted. It's not real. It's fictional. It's a fictional record. Bonds didn't hit those home runs the way Babe Ruth or Hank Aaron did. He hit them under an illegal substance, with an illegal substance. It's cheating.
All right. This is the perfect question for you. Before I let you answer it, do you think that during those runs of the Yankees' runs with Clemens and Pettit, should those titles be taken away? So should those Yankee titles be taken away?
Well, in order to answer that question, I have to say that I'd need to see some proof. I mean, now, it's kind of difficult because you're talking about a team sport. I mean, you look at Marion Jones, in competing in an individual sport, yeah, it's easy. You snatch the medals and, no harm, no foul. She's the only one who's hurt. But there were other players who contributed on these various teams that these guys, and, I'm not sure about Pettit. I mean, I'm reasonably sure that the Rocket was on this stuff for a while. I tend to believe Pettit when he says he just used it to rehab. And if that's the case, then he probably hadn't taken anything, back during, some of these World Championship seasons of the Yankees. It's a slippery slope. I mean, I'm not in favor of cheating, and as long as there are rules against the use of certain substances, I think there needs to be some kind of penalty, but whether or not you can actually, snatch a record. I mean, if you've got a blood test that, and there's a date on it, and it's incontrovertible proof, well, that's another thing. But if we're just going on smoke and mirrors or suspicion, I don't know how you can justify it.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a break because, all this dialogue about the Mitchell report's got me tired. Anyway, when we come back, we're going to give you some insight on who to pick for your draft and as well as the Fantasy Sports World Girl of April. See you soon.
Hi, I'm Fantasy Sports World Goddess Felicia. There's more Fantasy Sports News and World Report right after this.
Jim, the excitement levels are almost... The excitement levels are almost too great to contain here, Jim. This is your roving Blasian reporter, Keisha Nakamura. We are anxiously awaiting the unveiling of the amazing, spectacular Spider-Man. And here he is, Spider-Man. What would you like to tell this great nation?
Well, Keisha, the real secret's out. Watch Fantastic Forum Sunday nights at 8 p.m. on Comcast Channel 95 and RCN Channel 10.
I have no idea who this is. Back to you, Jim.
Hi, I'm Fantasy Sports World Girl Andrea, and welcome back for the second half of the Fantasy Sports News and World Report.
For the second half of the Fantasy Sports News and World Report, and this is our baseball preview. Again, with me is Oriole fan Ryan Fleming and Ulysses Campbell, who's a known Yankee fan and producer of a great show, Fantastic Forum. Gentlemen, a lot of people are either preparing for their drafts or slowly trying to get into it. I like to do this thing called studs, sleepers, and stinkers. Basically, your three guys who you feel like could help or hurt a fantasy team. Ulysses, you've been here before, so who is your stud guy? Who is that number one guy you'd like to pick?
A-Rod. No question about it. He's not on steroids. He's a five-tool player, and the guy's for real. He's the real deal.
Okay, for real. All right, perfect.
Alex Rodriguez. Gonna be a Yankee for life, too.
Not gonna win a series either. Ryan, who will be your number one guy?
I hate that I have to say this, but I have to agree, and it has to be Alex Rodriguez. Now, the steroid thing, though, Jose Canseco in his second book says he has knowledge of
A-Rod? That's what he said.
Supposed Razor Ramon bad guy, Jose Canseco. But either way, his numbers alone, I mean, besides October, his numbers alone, 50 home runs, yeah, he chokes, 50 home runs, you can hit 300, you have to take him. If you're not don't take out steroids, he's the best player in April
All right.
to September.
Let me throw this in just a question, guys, because right now A-Rod's in a pace to possibly pass Barry Bonds. Do you think he'll do it? If Bonds either A does or doesn't come back.
He might.
He certainly can, as long as he plays long enough, and he's got the time, and he's got the numbers.
Okay. My stud guy, granted, I applaud your picks, but I'm going for some youth. I'm going for Ryan Howard, and I think he's for real. He's the guy who's basically a true young face, not only for the Phillies, not only for baseball, but also for a lot of black Americans here. Because granted, I think the face of black players has been dwindling through years. Granted, we have the Latin community with Dominicans, Venezuelans, and all that stuff.
They don't consider themselves black.
That's true. And we've been accepting a lot of the Japanese imports, but the black players it's just a dwindling number. And I'm glad to see Ryan Howard coming in and accepting that. Basically, I would say passing the mantle and taking charge of that. So, who would be your sleeper pick, Ryan?
Okay, you guys, this is gonna probably surprise y'all, but I really think Ken Griffey Jr. has one more year. One more run to be good. He hit 30 home runs last year. He almost played in all of his games. He stayed. September he got hurt. He might. I'm telling you.
He's a 5-tool player.
Ken Griffey.
He really is.
If you watch wrestling, it's like Hogan. 2002 came back, one more run. Same thing with Griffey.
Okay. Okay. All right. Let me ask you this question then. Do you think that Junior should have stayed in the American League?
I mean, that could have happened. His injuries could have happened anywhere. I mean, he's
being in the American League. He's been so injury prone. His best bet would have been taking him out of the field and putting him as a DH.
I don't think he would have wanted to play DH. He loves playing. I mean, they moved him to right field, and he doesn't want to be in right field. The Reds moved him to right. Now he's going to play right field. He doesn't want to play right field. Maybe that would have helped him, but I think he would have got hurt regardless because it wasn't all in the field. Him getting hurt.
Ulysses, who's your sleeper pick?
You know, before I tell you this, there was something I saw in The Onion that I thought was hilarious about Ken Griffey Jr. They were saying, strong wind breaks Ken Griffey Jr.'s fever. Just to show how injury-prone this guy is. I couldn't stop laughing. But my sleeper pick, what's this guy's name? Is a guy that the Nationals picked up. He's an outfielder. Sort of taking a chance on him. I don't think it's.
Oh no.
You know who I'm talking about. Come on, help me out here. Help me out. Come on, right? You know this guy.
I don't watch the Nationals.
Oh,
I can't stand the Nationals.
We're in Washington. Oh my God.
Redskins, but no Nationals.
But yeah, he was an acquisition. I can't remember.
The D-Rays?
I think he did come from the Devil Rays.
He basically got upset. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
we'll put up a graphic and let us know who
he
is.
Yeah. But this guy, he's had some problems, but he's a young guy. He's ready to come on. I think that if the Nationals can develop him, I'm not talking about just developing on the field, but they're going to need to have somebody working with him off the field, some kind of player development type person or whatever, because this guy is really good. And if you give him the opportunity to shine, I think he will.
Okay. My sleeper pick, I think he needed to move, and because the way how the team was going is Dontrelle Willis. I think him going to the Tigers is a really good move. He's going back to a former manager, Jimmy Leland. The club is really set, and it looks like, with Gary Sheffield and Ivan Rodriguez and Magdaleno Ordonez, basically they have the Detroit Tigers basically has your team's lineup. It's pretty vicious. And I think Dontrelle Willis, I think if he stayed another year in Florida, I think he would pretty much be granted the face of the team, and that's it. And constantly the Marlins trying to rebuild constantly year after year, I don't think he can handle that. So him going to a contending team is a good thing, and I think he could really benefit the Tigers lineup. And granted, he didn't have a very good year with Florida. His best year was his 2005 year, but I think, with this team, and he's going to be just in the middle lineup. Here, when he was Florida, he was basically the number one guy, but now he's going to be in the middle of that rotation. I think he can benefit. Granted, he's a little nicked up right now, but trust me, he will surprise some people during the season. Who's that one guy you just gotta avoid?
Well, I have guys. Anybody that we know took steroids, I don't want him. Laduca, Tejada. First of all, Laduca, he's not even going to have a good year. But any guy that has taken steroids. But if we're going to talk not about steroids, I don't want Mike Lucina. I don't want that traitor. I don't want him.
Yes, comment.
You guys didn't want to sign him. Don't blame me. Hey, we
he
made a
wanted the money, like Vince McMahon, the money. That's what he wanted.
Who's your
my stinker?
Your stinker.
The Rocket. I thought that was a bad. In fact, it just illustrated how desperate the Yankees were at that point when they signed him. This guy, when he left to go to Houston, that was fine. The only thing that pissed me off was he took our best left-hander with him, But no, I would not touch him with a 10-foot pole. I thought it was a bad move. I don't even think he won 5 games last season. I got a whole bunch of no decisions, and it's going to be no better. But I guarantee you, somebody's going to sign him. He's going to wind up somewhere.
Yeah.
All right.
I doubt it.
My stinker pick. Granted, this is to honor the Dodgers' 50th anniversary. Nomar. As granted, he was
Nomar doesn't play no more, does he?
Yeah, he's still playing. Granted, in 2006, he became the National League Comeback Player of the Year, but like Junior, he's so injury prone, but he's 10 times worse than Junior is. And being shipped to right now, 3 teams in 5 years, I just feel like, his numbers have dwindled. Granted, we had him like early in his career when he was in Boston. It's like, he's the greatest hitter of all time. He's gonna, break Ted Wynn. He'll be the next guy to hit 400 and all that stuff. And then once he got hurt during the middle of the 2004 year, and then the Red Sox just could not, get him to come back properly. And then he gets shipped off to the Cubs. Granted, he was okay, but then still couldn't get his mojo back. Go to the Dodgers. And right now, the other problem I have him, he's not a shortstop anymore. He's been shipped over to first base when he first year with the Dodgers. Now they got him thinking of playing third. And again, just to let you know, he's on the DL. So, so pretty much, the Dodgers going to be without him for a couple of months. And I'll never forget this. When he was with the Cubs, I think it was like the second week of the season, he just basically hit the ball off of his foot, and he was gone for 2 months. It's like, it didn't make no sense. That proves to me, it's like, okay, either A, look, Mia Hamm makes more money than you. Just retire.
But when he's in, he produces.
He produces
on those rare occasions.
No. He produces when he's in.
Granted, like I said, last year he had great numbers. He had 9 homers.
How many games did he play last season?
Last season he played 122 games last season.
Oh, he had 9 homers.
Sorry, let me rephrase that. He had 20 homers, 93 RBIs. He stole 3 times, and he hit 303.
122 games?
Last year. But years before, think about his numbers, the years that he was mainly injured, 38 with the Sox in 04 and 43 with the Cubs. And in 2005, he had 62.
We're talking about number of games. Right?
Number of games.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
now this
38.
is
That sounds more.
Let me replace that again. That's 2006. That was his comeback year. Now in 2007, he played 121 games. He batted .283. He had 7 home runs though, and 59 RBIs. Now, granted, he can play, but he can't play every day. And I think and I can't trust a guy like that who can't play every day. Sure. And the Dodgers really got to the fact that, look, you got a good youth movement coming in, and I really think you need to go in there and promote that. If you're thinking you're trying to contend for the NL West, look, let the D-backs have it, let the Rockies have it. Let them fight it out. You guys rebuild your stock, because I really think that, they just got a lot of aging players, and they still think Dodger Blue will get them to the promised land, but no. So no Nomar for you. All right, we got less than 5 minutes. I like to get your World Series picks. who's going to the big show?
Now, in the AL, obviously, this is a lot of people's pick, and you were talking about them earlier, the Tigers. I mean, I think they have the best starting rotation in baseball. I mean, when you have Dontrelle Wilson, he's not even the number one. No, they've got everything that you need. Now, in the National League, this is kind of, I don't know if anybody's going to pick this, the Brewers.
Okay.
And their hitting is phenomenal. As long as Ben Sheets can stay healthy. I'm worried about their pitching, but I really think they're young. Ryan Braun, Cecil Fielder's son, Prince, 50 home runs. He's an MVP candidate. The National League is not that strong. It's not like a team like that, like you saw what the Rockies did. A team like the Brewers can do that. They can come and sneak up on people. I mean, people know that they're going to be good, but I don't think they have a lot of potential. I think they're going to do it.
So in this cold World Series, who will win?
I think the Tigers will win, though.
Tigers?
Yeah.
All right. Ulysses, who's in your big show?
Oh, that's a tough one. You know, I hate making predictions because I'm never right with this stuff. You know?
Neither
in fact,
am I.
I
I've been
am
great
so
this year.
wrong, you know. And I should probably just try and make some outlandish pick that I know is going to be wrong. But in the NL, I like the Mets. I mean, they were coming on strong towards the end of last season. I like some of the off-season acquisitions they've made. And they're a gutsy club. I mean, I expect them to get out there, and as long as they can do something in their own division, and it doesn't look like Atlanta's trying to raise up on them anymore, you know, they can like keep the Phillies down. I think they'll be fine. In the AL's a little tougher. I can tell you it's going to be one of several teams. I don't know exactly which one it's going to be. It's either going to be the Red Sox, it's going to be the Yankees, it's going to be Detroit, or it's going to be the Angels. I guarantee it's going to be one of those teams.
Okay. Among those four against the one, who will win the World Series?
Ooh. Well, I'm always hoping for the Yanks. Let me just say that.
The homer pick.
But let me just say it wouldn't surprise me if the Mets were to beat the Red Sox.
Okay. All right. Well, my big show, I feel like this will be surprising a lot of people, but the National League, I want the Cubs to do it. I feel this is their time. 100 years, people. 100 years. I mean, the GOAT's got to go, all right? And, I mean, I think it's their time. They got the right manager, Lou Piniella. They smartly put Kerry Woods in the bullpen and not starting him.
Yeah.
Got rid of Mark Proprior. Kept Zambrano. They got a really decent lineup that's got power and it got speed and clutch hitting. That's what that team needs, and I'm giving the Cubs the nod to win the Central and the league. As for the AL team, I'm going to surprise all of you. I think Anaheim's going to take it.
Wow.
I think the Angels, they got great pitching from front to back. They've got a great reliever in Rodriguez, and a really strong lineup led by Vladimir Guerrero. Garrett Anderson, he's a perfect guy who's injury-prone in the field, but smartly, hey, put him in DH, he's great. Yeah. And between the two, 100 years is over, folks. I'm giving it to the Cubs. I mean, granted, my picks haven't been great lately, but I really feel the Cubs will take it this time.
So what you're saying is they're not going to let Steve Zartman in the stadium.
No.
Sorry, Bartman? That's
Bartman. Yeah. Anyway, I'd like to thank you guys for the baseball preview, giving your insight on everything that we've talked about today. And I'd like to thank you for watching. But before we go, we have our Fantasy World Girl of the Month, and her name is Miss Andrea McPherson. She is a model. She is an actress, which she's been in a lot of plays around the country. Also, she is a writer. You can log on to stuff, which you'll be seeing right now. So you can log on and see some of her great writing. I'd like to thank you for watching. My time is out. Peace.